Hey there. Tonight, we're talking about something that rarely comes up when people talk about getting older. Not retirement, not grandchildren, not the polite milestones people expect you to mention. We're talking about what happens when you're 55 or older and your thoughts start visiting places they never used to go, especially at night. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, only if this kind of quiet, honest reflection speaks to you. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. These late hours tend to bring people together in ways daylight never does. Because if you're awake at this hour, it usually isn't because something woke you. It's because your mind finally has space. After 55, thinking changes. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but noticeably. You're no longer consumed by what's next tomorrow or someone's opinion of you. Instead, your thoughts slow down and grow heavier, more reflective, less urgent, but more persistent. You think about time in a way you never did before, not with panic, but with awareness. You notice how quickly decades passed without asking permission, how memories from 30 years ago feel close enough to touch, while the future feels shorter, less defined. You start reviewing your life without meaning to. Not just the big decisions, but the quiet ones, the paths you didn't take, the conversations you delayed too long, the versions of yourself that existed briefly before life steered you elsewhere. There's rarely anger in these thoughts, just a calm, unsettling clarity. You think about your body, not with vanity, but with curiosity. How it now requires cooperation instead of obedience. How it reminds you daily that it has limits you didn't used to negotiate with. You don't feel old exactly. You feel changed, like someone living in a familiar place that has been subtly rearranged over time. And then there are the people. The ones still present, the ones who drifted quietly away, the ones you understand now in ways you never could before. At this age, loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. Sometimes it's realizing how much of your inner life no longer gets spoken aloud. Sometimes it's noticing that you've become the listener, the observer, the steady one, while fewer people ask how you are doing. This is the unspoken world of being 55 and awake. Not dramatic, not tragic, just deeply human. And once the world grows quiet and there's nothing demanding your attention, these thoughts don't rush past. They linger, they settle, they ask to be acknowledged. So you stay with them. And that's where our story begins. If you're a woman over 55, this temperature dance has an additional layer of complexity. Night sweats are not a metaphor. They are not an exaggeration. You can go from comfortable to drenched in the time it takes to have a single thought. And the thought you're having when it happens is usually something like, "Am I comfortable?" The answer arrives with terrible certainty. No, you are not. You've adapted, of course. You have. The bedroom is cooler now than it used to be. You might have a fan running year-round. You've invested in moisture-wicking sheets, which is a phrase you never imagined saying. You've become an expert in layering blankets, so you can adjust your coverage with minimal disruption. You've developed systems, but systems only take you so far when your internal thermostat has decided to malfunction for reasons no one fully understands. If you share your bed with someone, the temperature negotiation becomes diplomatic. Your partner is cold, you are hot, or you are both hot at different times, or you are both cold but disagree about the solution. The thermostat becomes contested territory. The window stays closed, then open, then closed again. You've had the same conversation about the ideal bedroom temperature at least 400 times, and you will have it 400 more. But here's what you don't talk about. What nobody mentions in those cheerful articles about healthy aging. How lonely it feels to be awake in your bed at 3 a.m. while your partner sleeps soundly beside you. Not lonely because you're alone. Lonely because you're together, but in completely different states of consciousness. They're somewhere peaceful, unreachable. And you're here, awake, listening to them breathe, feeling like you're on the wrong side of the glass wall. You don't resent them for sleeping. You don't. But you watch their face relaxed in a way it never is during the day. And you feel a strange distance. Sleep has separated you. They've crossed into a place you can't follow. And you're left here, in the dark, aware of every sound the house makes, every car that passes outside, every hour that ticks by on the clock you've now turned away from the bed, because watching time pass makes everything worse. The clock. Let's talk about the clock. You used to check it once, maybe twice a night if you woke to use the bathroom. Now you check it constantly, even though you've trained yourself not to. You know, checking the time is counterproductive. Every sleep article you've ever read has told you this. Don't look at the clock. It creates anxiety. It makes sleep harder. You know this. You believe this. And yet, you look. Because not knowing feels worse. You need to know if it's 2 or 4. You need to calculate how many hours of sleep you might still get if you fall asleep right now. Right now. Okay, now. The mathematics of sleep becomes an obsession. If you fall asleep in the next 5 minutes, you can still get 4.5 hours. That's not terrible. That's manageable. You've functioned on less. But 5 minutes pass, then 10, then 20. Now you're down to 4 hours, then 3.5. The window of adequate sleep closes minute by minute, and you're aware of each one passing. This awareness, of course, makes sleep impossible. You've created a self-fulfilling prophecy of exhaustion. You know this. Knowing this does not help. So you lie there, trying to implement all the sleep advice you've accumulated over the years. Don't lie awake for more than 20 minutes. Get up and do something boring in dim light. Read something tedious. Avoid screens. Practice progressive muscle relaxation. Count backwards from 100. Breathe deeply. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. Or is it 4, 4, 8? You can't remember. You're too tired to remember, but not tired enough to sleep. You think about sleep medications. Maybe you've tried them. Maybe you're taking them right now. The pills that promise rest but deliver something that feels like rest without actually being rest. You wake up groggy, thick-headed, with a strange taste in your mouth and the feeling that you've been unconscious rather than asleep. There's a difference. Sleep restores you. Unconsciousness just borrows time. But even that starts to look appealing when you're staring at your 4th hour of wakefulness. Your doctor has opinions about sleep medications. Take them short-term only. Don't become dependent. Try cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Have you considered meditation? Exercise more, but not too close to bedtime. Avoid caffeine after 2. Establish a routine. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Use your bed only for sleep and intimacy. You've heard all of it. You've tried most of it. Some of it helps, sometimes. Nothing works consistently. And nobody tells you that this might just be how sleep is now, that maybe this is the new normal, and acceptance is the only real solution. But acceptance is harder than it sounds when you're lying in the dark, exhausted but awake, knowing that tomorrow you'll have to function. You'll have to work, or care for someone, or manage a household, or simply exist in the world as a competent adult. And you'll have to do it on 3 hours of broken sleep, again, like you did yesterday and the day before. The exhaustion accumulates. Not dramatically, just steadily, like debt. You start to understand why sleep deprivation is used as torture. Not because missing one night is unbearable. You've done that before. In your 20s, you stayed up all night regularly and barely noticed. But this is different. This is night after night after night of inadequate rest, and it wears on you in ways that are hard to describe to someone who sleeps normally. Your patience thins. Your memory falters. Words hide from you mid-sentence. You stand in rooms forgetting why you entered them. Is this age? Is this exhaustion? Is there a difference anymore? The bathroom trips don't help. You've accepted that you'll wake at least once, probably twice, possibly 3 times to urinate. Your bladder, which used to store urine obligingly until morning, now has opinions about fullness that it expresses urgently at inconvenient times. 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5:30, which is close enough to wake-up time that going back to sleep feels impossible. You navigate these trips in the dark, knowing your route by memory. You don't turn on lights, because lights signal morning to your brain, and you're trying to preserve the possibility of more sleep. You've perfected the art of the dark bathroom trip. Eyes barely open, minimum awareness. Don't think. Don't wake up fully. Just complete the task and return to bed as quickly as possible. But here's the problem. Once you're up, you're up. Your mind, which was hovering near sleep, suddenly activates. And now you're thinking about something you said yesterday that came out wrong, about the bill you forgot to pay, about your child who hasn't called in 2 weeks, about the weird noise your car is making, about whether you remembered to lock the back door, about anything and everything except the nothing you should be thinking about to facilitate sleep. So you lie there, trying not to think, which of course makes you think more. Your thoughts have momentum now. They're rolling downhill, picking up speed, and you're along for the ride. You think about work, even though you're retired. You think about projects you'll never finish. You think about people you haven't spoken to in decades, wondering what happened to them, whether they're also awake right now, also lying in bed, also thinking about nothing important that feels desperately urgent. And then, inevitably, you think about time. How much of it has passed? How much remains? This is the thought that arrives uninvited around 3 in the morning when you're 55 or older. Time. You've lived more years than you have left to live. This is probably true. Not certainly true, but probably. And lying in bed in the dark is when this fact feels most present, most real. During the day, you can avoid this knowledge. You stay busy. You focus on tasks. But at night, in bed, there's nowhere to hide from mathematics. You're not morbid about this. You're not depressed. You're just aware. Aware that your body is changing in ways you can't control. Aware that sleep, that most basic function, has become unreliable. Aware that time moves in one direction and you're moving with it. And there's nothing to be done about any of it except lie here, in this bed, in this body, hoping that eventually, before dawn, sleep might return and grant you a few hours of peace. The bed itself has changed too. Not just your relationship with it, but the physical object. You might have bought a new mattress recently, probably spent more on it than you ever imagined spending on something you can't see while using it. You researched firmness levels, materials, cooling technology, memory foam versus inner spring versus hybrid. You took the mattress store's sleep quiz. You lay on 17 different beds in a showroom while a salesperson watched you with an expression of studied neutrality. You chose carefully. You made an informed decision. And now you're lying on this expensive mattress, this investment in sleep health, still awake at 3 in the morning, wondering if you should have chosen the firmer model, or the softer one, or the one with the adjustable base that elevates your feet and head at the touch of a button, which seemed excessive at the time, but now seems like it might have solved everything. The pillows are another saga. You've tried every type. Firm, soft, medium, down, synthetic, memory foam, latex, buckwheat hulls, thick, thin, contoured, pillows that promise to align your spine, support your neck, keep you cool, reduce wrinkles. You have a graveyard of rejected pillows in your closet. Each one seemed perfect in the store and wrong at home. Your current pillow is fine, just fine, which means it's also slightly wrong, but you're tired of looking, so fine will have to be good enough. If you're dealing with chronic pain, the bed becomes even more complicated. Your mattress isn't just about comfort anymore. It's about pain management. You've learned to position pillows strategically. One between your knees if you sleep on your side. One under your knees if you sleep on your back. You've created a nest of support, a careful architecture of foam and fabric designed to minimize morning stiffness. And still, you wake up hurting. Not every morning, but enough mornings that you've stopped expecting to feel good immediately upon waking. You've learned to lie still for a moment, assessing the damage. Does your back hurt? How much? Is it the sharp pain or the dull ache? Can you sit up normally, or do you need to roll to your side first and push yourself up with your arms? These are the questions you ask yourself before you even open your eyes. You've developed a morning routine to deal with this. Gentle stretches before getting out of bed. Slow movements. You've learned not to rush. Rushing makes everything worse. Your body needs time to remember how to be vertical. You grant it that time because you have no choice. The alternative is pain, and you've learned that pain is a poor way to start a day. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're still in bed, still lying here in the dark, still awake. Let's talk about what else happens in this bed, or rather, what doesn't happen as much as it used to. Intimacy, sex, physical connection. This is where the conversation gets quiet, even in the privacy of your own mind. Your body has changed. You know this. You see it in the mirror. You feel it in your joints. But knowing it intellectually and experiencing it intimately are different things. Desire doesn't disappear after 55. Despite what popular culture suggests, you're not a neutered elder, content with gentle hand-holding and chaste affection. You still want connection. You still want touch. But the mechanics have become more complicated. For women, menopause has rewritten the rules. Dryness, discomfort, changes in sensation. Things that used to be simple now require preparation, patience, products. You've had conversations with your doctor about this. Probably awkward conversations, because somehow discussing vaginal atrophy with a medical professional feels more embarrassing than it should, even though it's a normal biological process affecting millions of women. For men, there are different challenges. Erectile dysfunction is not rare after 55. It's common, expected even. But common doesn't make it easy to accept. There are pills for this. You might take them. They work, mostly, though they come with side effects and require planning that makes spontaneity impossible. You can't just respond to the moment anymore. You have to anticipate it, prepare for it, schedule it like an appointment. And if you have a partner, you navigate these changes together. Or you try to. Communication helps, supposedly. But talking about sexual dysfunction with someone you've been intimate with for decades is harder than it sounds. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to admit your own vulnerabilities. So you might avoid the conversation entirely, and the silence creates distance. The frequency changes. You used to have sex regularly. Now it's occasional, then rare, then something that happens so infrequently that when it does happen, there's a strange self-consciousness about it, a pressure to perform that makes the whole experience more stressful than pleasurable, and so it happens even less, not because desire has vanished, but because the gap between desire and successful execution has widened to the point where trying seems riskier than not trying. This creates its own kind of loneliness. You're lying next to someone you love, someone you've built a life with, and there's this whole realm of connection that's become difficult or impossible. And you don't talk about it. You both know it's happening. You both feel the absence. But discussing it feels like admitting defeat. So you don't. You just lie there, not touching, both pretending to be asleep. Or maybe you're alone in this bed. Maybe you've been alone for years by choice or by circumstance. Widowed, divorced, or simply unpartnered. The bed feels different when you're alone. Emptier, obviously, but also more yours. You can sprawl, you can hog the covers, you can read until 2 a.m. with the light on if you want. There's freedom in solitude, but there's also absence. You notice it most at night. The lack of another person's warmth, their breathing, the small movements that signal life nearby. You've grown accustomed to this absence, maybe. Or maybe you haven't. Maybe every night you're aware of the empty space beside you. the pillow that stays cool, because no one's head rests on it. People don't talk about the loneliness of sleeping alone after 55. They talk about independence, about enjoying your own space. And that's true sometimes, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is that waking up at 3 a.m. is lonelier when there's no one beside you. The darkness feels darker, the silence feels heavier, and the thoughts that arrive uninvited are harder to dismiss when there's no other presence to anchor you to the shared world. You think about this person who isn't there. If you're widowed, you think about them often. Not dramatically, not with the sharp grief of early loss, but with a steady, dull awareness that they should be here, and they're not. You might still sleep on your side of the bed, leaving their side empty out of habit or respect, or simply because changing would feel like a betrayal. The bed remembers them, even if the sheets have been changed 1,000 times since they last lay here. If you're divorced, the thoughts are different, but no less persistent. You think about how you used to share this space, this intimacy, this vulnerability of sleep. You think about what went wrong, or what went right for a while before going wrong. You think about whether you should have tried harder, or left sooner, or done something differently that might have changed the outcome. These thoughts serve no purpose. They change nothing, but they arrive anyway, in the dark, when your defenses are down. Or maybe you've never married, never cohabited, and this bed has always been yours alone. This has its own complexity. You've built a life without partnership, and perhaps that was always the plan. But at night, especially as you age, you might wonder what you've missed. Not constantly, not obsessively, just occasionally, in the quiet hours, you wonder about the parallel life you didn't live. Regardless of your situation, the bed at 55 and older becomes a place of reflection. You've accumulated enough life by now that lying awake means confronting all of it, your successes and your failures, your relationships and your solitude, the choices you made and the choices that were made for you. The bed is where this accounting happens, whether you want it to or not. You think about your children, if you have them. They're grown now, living their own lives. You're proud of them mostly, worried about them, always. You wonder if you were a good enough parent. You remember moments of impatience, of failure, of times you could have done better. These memories are vivid at 3 a.m, more vivid than the good moments somehow. The mind prefers to catalogue mistakes when given darkness and silence. You think about your parents. If they're still alive, you worry about them, about their health, their comfort, their mortality. If they've passed, you think about them differently now that you're approaching the age they were when they started declining. You understand things about them that you couldn't understand before. Their fears, their frustrations, their silences. You've inherited those now. You're living what they lived. The symmetry is uncomfortable. You think about your career, whether you're still working or retired. If you're still working, you think about how much longer you can maintain the pace, whether you're still valued, whether younger colleagues see you as competent or obsolete. If you're retired, you think about what you accomplished, whether it mattered, whether you should have done something different with all those years of effort. You think about money. This is a big one. You think about whether you've saved enough, whether your retirement funds will last, whether some unexpected expense will destroy the careful plans you've made. You think about medical costs, about long-term care, about becoming a burden to your children. These are practical concerns during the day. At night, they become catastrophic fears. Your mind takes each worry and expands it into a full disaster scenario. You know you're catastrophizing. Knowing this doesn't stop it. You think about your health. Every small symptom becomes significant in the dark. That twinge in your chest? Probably nothing. Or possibly a heart attack. That headache you've had for 2 days. Tension. Or a brain tumor. You know you're being irrational. You know that 3 a.m. is when your mind lies to you, turns molehills into mountains, transforms normal aches into terminal diagnoses. But knowing this and believing it are different things. So you lie there, conducting a mental inventory of your body, cataloging every imperfection, every deviation from how you used to feel. Your knees hurt more than they should. Your hands are stiff in the morning. Your vision has degraded to the point where you need reading glasses for everything. Your hearing isn't what it was. You ask people to repeat themselves more often now. These are small things, normal aging. Everyone experiences them. But at night, they feel like betrayals. Your body, which you've inhabited for over 5 decades, is becoming unreliable. And then there's the fear you don't name, the big one that lurks beneath all the smaller worries. The fear of losing yourself, not dying exactly, worse than dying. Losing your mind while your body persists, dementia, Alzheimer's. You've watched it happen to others maybe. You've seen what it does. And you wonder if it's waiting for you too. Every time you forget a word, you wonder if this is the beginning. Every time you walk into a room and forget why, you calculate the odds. Is this normal aging? Or is this the first sign of something worse? There's no way to know. The early symptoms of cognitive decline look identical to the normal forgetfulness of aging. So you monitor yourself constantly, looking for evidence, terrified of what you might find. This fear lives in your bed with you. It whispers in the dark, and there's nothing you can do about it except hope that when morning comes, you'll still be yourself, the same self you were yesterday, the self you've always been, diminished slightly by time maybe, but fundamentally intact. The clock says 4:30 now. You've been awake for hours. Dawn is approaching. You can see the faintest lightening of the sky through your window. Soon your alarm will ring, or your body will give up on sleep entirely, and you'll rise and begin another day. You'll function. You'll manage. You've done it before on no sleep. You'll do it again. But right now, you're still in bed, still awake, still thinking, and you're 55 or older, lying in the dark, experiencing something that millions of others are experiencing at this exact moment, but nobody talks about. This is the unspoken world of aging. This is what it means to lie in bed after 55, waiting for sleep that may or may not come, accompanied by thoughts you didn't invite and can't dismiss. You're not alone in this experience, even though it feels profoundly lonely. Across the world, in bedrooms just like yours, People your age are lying awake right now, thinking similar thoughts, feeling similar fears, navigating similar bodies that have become complicated in ways they never expected. You're part of a vast, silent community of the sleepless, the aging, the awake, connected by this shared experience of lying in bed, waiting, thinking, hoping that eventually, before dawn breaks completely, sleep might grant you a few hours of mercy. The light is changing now. That deep black darkness has given way to dark grey, which will soon become lighter grey, and then the unmistakable pale blue of early morning. You've watched this transition countless times from your bed. You've become an expert in the gradations of pre-dawn light. You know exactly what color the sky is at 5, at 5:30, at 6. You could probably estimate the time within 15 minutes just by looking at your ceiling and seeing how much ambient light has crept into the room. This is not knowledge you wanted to acquire. Nobody lies in bed at 25 studying the progression of dawn. But here you are, 55 or older, an unwilling scholar of early morning light patterns. You've earned this expertise through repetition, through hundreds of nights of wakefulness, through more early mornings than you can count. It's a degree program nobody applies for, but many complete. Your body knows morning is coming, even before your eyes register the light. Something shifts internally. Your metabolism begins to wake. Your cortisol levels rise naturally, preparing you for the day ahead. This is normal physiology. This is how bodies work. But it also means that the window for sleep is closing. If you haven't slept by now, you probably won't. Not real sleep anyway. Maybe you'll drift into a light doze for 20 minutes before your alarm rings. Maybe not. Either way, you'll soon have to get up and pretend you're rested. You hear the first sounds of morning. A car starting somewhere in the neighborhood. Someone's early shift beginning. Or maybe they couldn't sleep either. Maybe they gave up at 4:30 and decided to start their day because lying in bed awake felt more exhausting than just getting up. You understand this impulse completely. You've acted on it yourself many times. There's a point where staying in bed becomes counterproductive, where the bed itself becomes the enemy, a place of frustration rather than rest. But you don't get up yet. Not quite yet. You're waiting for something. Your alarm maybe, or for the light to reach a certain level, or for some internal signal that you can't quite name but will recognize when it arrives. So you continue lying here, in this bed, in this body, in this life you're living. Your mind has shifted gears. The deep night thoughts, the existential worries, have receded slightly. Dawn brings a different kind of thinking, more practical, more oriented towards the day ahead. You start making lists, things you need to do, errands to run, calls to make, appointments to keep. This is your mind's way of transitioning from night to day, from reflection to action. It's helping you in its way, giving you something to focus on besides how tired you are. You think about breakfast, what you'll eat, whether you'll eat at all. Your appetite in the morning isn't what it used to be. Food doesn't appeal the way it once did. You might skip breakfast entirely, or have just coffee, or force yourself to eat something because you know you should. The experts say breakfast is important. The most important meal of the day. You've heard this your entire life, but your body disagrees. Your body would prefer to wake up slowly, to ease into the day without the immediate task of digestion. If you take medications, morning means pills. You've accumulated a collection by now. Blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication, maybe something for acid reflux or arthritis or diabetes or any of the dozen conditions that become common after 55. Your medicine cabinet tells the story of your aging more clearly than any photo album. Each bottle is a chapter. Each prescription is a negotiation with decline. You take these pills without thinking too much about what they mean. They're just part of the routine now, part of staying functional. You swallow them with water or coffee, and you don't dwell on the fact that you'll be taking them every morning for the rest of your life. Dwelling serves no purpose. These pills keep you alive, keep you moving, keep you relatively healthy. You're grateful for them in an abstract way. Modern medicine has extended your life and improved its quality. You know this. But gratitude doesn't make the reality less strange. You think about your schedule for the day. If you're still working, you calculate how you'll manage on insufficient sleep. You've developed strategies, extra coffee, moving more slowly, conserving energy for the important tasks, letting the unimportant things slide. You've learned that you can function on minimal sleep if you're strategic about it. Not function well, necessarily, but function adequately. Adequacy becomes the goal when excellence requires resources you don't have. If you're retired, the day stretches ahead with different challenges. Freedom, yes, but also emptiness if you're not careful. You've learned that retirement requires structure, purpose, engagement. Without work to organize your days, you have to create organization yourself. Some people thrive in this. They fill their time with hobbies, volunteering, travel, grandchildren. They're busier than they were when working. They're living their best life according to the retirement commercials. But maybe that's not you. Maybe retirement has revealed something uncomfortable, that without work, you're not entirely sure what to do with yourself, that the hobbies you thought you'd pursue don't interest you as much as you expected, that all that free time you longed for feels less like freedom and more like void. You don't admit this to people. When they ask how you're enjoying retirement, you say it's great. You're keeping busy, living the dream, and maybe you are, in moments. But lying in bed at dawn, after another sleepless night, you're honest with yourself in ways you're not with others. You think about the day's social interactions. If you have plans to see people, you mentally prepare yourself. Social energy is finite, and you have less of it than you used to. An hour of conversation that would have energized you at 30 exhausts you at 60. You still enjoy people, still value connection, but you need recovery time afterward. You need silence and solitude to recharge. This isn't antisocial. It's just realistic management of limited resources. If you don't have plans to see anyone, you think about whether that's okay or concerning. How many days can you go without meaningful human contact before it becomes a problem? You don't know. The line between healthy solitude and unhealthy isolation is blurry. You tell yourself you're fine. You have phone calls, texts, email. You're connected. But connection through screens isn't the same as physical presence, and you know it. Yet getting dressed, leaving the house, engaging with the world requires energy you may not have, especially after another night of poor sleep. Your partner stirs beside you. If you have a partner, they're waking up naturally, refreshed by 7 or 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. You feel a flash of envy so sharp it surprises you. They've been unconscious, peaceful, restored, while you've been awake, thinking, suffering. It's not their fault. You know this, but the inequity of it rankles anyway. They yawn, stretch, and say good morning in a voice still thick with sleep. You respond. You don't mention that you've been awake for hours. What would be the point? They ask if you slept well. This is a courtesy question. They ask it every morning. And every morning you have to decide whether to tell the truth or lie. Usually, you lie. You say you slept fine. Because telling the truth means having a conversation about your insomnia, which means they'll offer solutions you've already tried, or sympathy that doesn't help, or worry that makes you feel like a burden. So you lie. You slept fine, and the distance between you grows incrementally larger. Or maybe you tell the truth. You admit you barely slept, and they're concerned, genuinely concerned. They suggest things. Have you tried chamomile tea, meditation, not looking at screens before bed? Yes, you've tried all of it, everything. You've tried everything that exists to be tried, and you're still lying awake night after night. But you don't say this with frustration because they're trying to help. So you nod. You thank them. You say you'll try their suggestion, and you feel alone despite their presence. If you're alone in the bed, there's no one to perform for, no questions to answer, no explanations required. You simply get up when you're ready, or when you must, and begin your day in silence. There's a purity to this. No negotiation, no coordination, just you and your routines. But there's also an absence of witness. No one sees you struggle. No one knows how bad the night was. You could have not slept at all, and no one would know unless you chose to tell them. This autonomy is simultaneously freeing and isolating. Your alarm rings, or you decide it's time to get up, and you swing your legs over the side of the bed. This movement, which used to be automatic, now requires thought. You pause on the edge of the bed, feet on the floor, sitting upright but not yet standing. You're assessing. How does your back feel? Your knees? Can you stand up normally, or will you need to use your hands to push yourself up? This assessment happens quickly now. You don't even think about thinking about it. It's just part of the process. You stand, successfully. Nothing hurts too badly. This counts as a victory. You've started the day without injury or significant pain. The bar for a good morning has lowered considerably from what it was 20 years ago, but you've adjusted your expectations accordingly. You're not trying to achieve the same things you once did. You're trying to achieve function, comfort, dignity. These are worthwhile goals. You shuffle to the bathroom. Shuffle is the right word. You don't bound out of bed anymore. You don't leap up and immediately start moving at full speed. You shuffle, gradually awakening your body, allowing your muscles and joints to remember their purpose. The bathroom feels far away on mornings like this. Your house hasn't gotten bigger, but the distance between bed and bathroom has somehow lengthened. You look at yourself in the mirror. This is a mistake. You know it's a mistake, even as you're doing it. The bathroom mirror after a sleepless night is not kind. The face looking back at you is puffy, lined, exhausted. Your eyes have bags under them that could pack for a weekend trip. Your skin looks grey. Your hair is doing something inexplicable. This is not the face you imagine when you think of yourself. The face in your mind is younger, more vibrant, less defeated by gravity and time. But the mirror doesn't care about your internal self-image. It shows you the truth. You look old. There's no other way to say it. You look like someone who is 55 or older and didn't sleep well. You look tired. You look exactly as tired as you feel. And for a moment, you confront the reality that this is what you look like now. Not temporarily. Not because of one bad night. This is your face. This is your body. This is what aging looks like. And you're aging. You could cry. You don't. But you could. The face in the mirror is a stranger, and also you. You've lived in this body for over 5 decades. You've watched it change gradually, year by year, but somehow the accumulation of small changes has produced someone you barely recognize. When did your neck start looking like that? When did those spots appear on your hands? When did your body decide to redistribute fat to places it never existed before? You splash water on your face, cold water. It helps, marginally. You brush your teeth with the electric toothbrush your dentist recommended. You have to use an electric toothbrush now. Manual brushing isn't sufficient anymore. Something about gum recession and proper cleaning technique. Your mouth has become more complicated, like everything else. You take longer to brush your teeth than you used to because you have to be more thorough, more careful. Your gums bleed if you're not gentle enough. Your teeth are wearing down despite your best efforts. Your dentist wants you to wear a night guard because you grind your teeth while you sleep. Except you're not sleeping, so at least you're not grinding. Small mercies. You return to the bedroom and face the bed. It needs to be made. This is a daily decision. Do you make your bed? Some people swear by it. They say making your bed first thing sets a positive tone for the day. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. It creates order. Other people think this is nonsense. The bed will just get messed up again tonight. Why bother? You've gone through phases with this. Sometimes you make it religiously. Sometimes you don't make it for weeks. Right now, you'll probably pick it. Not because it sets a positive tone, but because later today, when you're exhausted, you might want to lie down. And lying down on a made bed feels different than lying down on a tangle of sheets and blankets. Better, more intentional, less like giving up. So you pull the sheets straight, you smooth the blankets, you arrange the pillows. This takes 2 minutes, maybe 3 if you're being particular about it. And then it's done. The bed looks orderly, peaceful, inviting. Nothing like the battleground it was all night. The bed in daylight bears no resemblance to the bed in darkness. This is one of the strange truths about aging. Everything looks different depending on when you encounter it. You get dressed. This process has changed too. Not dramatically, but noticeably. You're more conscious of comfort now. Clothes that fit loosely, fabrics that breathe, waistbands, that don't cut into your middle, shoes that support your feet properly. You've sacrificed style for comfort gradually over the years, and you're not entirely sure when it happened. You used to care more about how you looked. Now you care more about how you feel. This shift happened without you deciding it should. It just did. You choose your outfit based on practicality. What you'll be doing today, temperature considerations, whether you'll be seeing anyone who matters. If you're staying home, you might wear the same comfortable clothes you wore yesterday. Or you might change into fresh, comfortable clothes because fresh feels better psychologically. If you're going out, you make more effort. Not as much effort as you would have made 20 years ago. But you're not trying to impress anyone. You're just trying to look put together enough that people don't ask if you're feeling all right. Because that's the question you want to avoid. Are you feeling all right? People ask this when you look tired, run down, older than they expected. They ask it with concern, genuine concern usually. But answering it truthfully requires explaining that no, you're not feeling all right. You haven't slept properly in months, maybe years, and your body hurts in ways you can't fully articulate. And you're exhausted all the time, and you're frightened about what comes next. But you can't say all that. So you smile and say you're fine, just a little tired. And they accept this because they don't want the real answer any more than you want to give it. You head to the kitchen. Coffee is necessary, non-negotiable. You need caffeine to function after the night you've had. You know caffeine might make tonight's sleep worse. The sleep experts warn against too much caffeine, especially afternoon. But right now, tonight's sleep is a distant problem. This morning's function is the immediate crisis. So you make coffee, strong coffee, and you drink it while standing at the counter or sitting at the table, feeling the warmth of the cup in your hands, waiting for the caffeine to hit your bloodstream and provide some temporary relief from the exhaustion. The house is quiet. If you live with others, they're perhaps still sleeping or just beginning to wake. If you live alone, the silence is total. You've grown accustomed to silence. It used to bother you. Silence felt like loneliness. Now it feels like peace. Or maybe it feels like both. Loneliness and peace aren't opposites. They can coexist. You can be peacefully lonely or lonelily peaceful. The distinction has blurred. You think about the hours ahead. Morning will pass slowly. You'll do what needs doing. Routine tasks, necessary tasks, tasks that fill time without meaning much. Laundry, dishes, bills, email, the maintenance work of existing. Afternoon will be harder. That's when the exhaustion really hits. When the caffeine wears off and your body remembers it didn't sleep. You might need a nap. You probably won't be able to take one. Or you'll try and fail, lying in bed in daylight feeling tired but unable to sleep, which is somehow more frustrating than nighttime insomnia. Evening will come eventually. It always does, and you'll start the whole cycle again. Dinner, evening routines, preparing for bed. The hope that tonight will be different, that tonight you'll sleep, that tonight your body will cooperate, that tonight the thoughts won't come, that tonight you'll be granted the mercy of 8 uninterrupted hours of unconsciousness. But you don't really believe this will happen. You've been disappointed too many times. So you hope, but you also prepare for disappointment. You go through the motions of sleep hygiene because what else can you do? You dim the lights. You avoid screens mostly. You keep the bedroom cool. You follow all the rules. And then you lie down, close your eyes, and wait. Wait for sleep that may or may not arrive. Wait for the thoughts to start. Wait for the night to pass. This is your life now. This is what it means to be 55 or older and lying in bed. It means navigating a body that has become unpredictable. It means managing expectations that have been revised downward. It means accepting that sleep, which was once reliable, is now a gift rather than a given. It means lying awake in the dark, thinking thoughts you don't want to think, feeling feelings you don't want to feel, waiting for dawn. But here's something nobody tells you, something you've had to discover yourself through all these sleepless nights. There's a strange intimacy to it, an honesty. During the day, you perform, you pretend, you tell people you're fine, you smile, you engage, you maintain the fiction that everything is normal, that you're coping well, that aging is an adventure rather than an ordeal. But at night, in bed, alone with your thoughts, you drop the performance. You face the truth. You're struggling. You're scared. You're tired. You're human. And this honesty, uncomfortable as it is, has value. You've learned things about yourself in these dark hours that you might never have learned otherwise. You've confronted fears you could avoid during daylight. You've acknowledged losses you could deny while busy. You've taken inventory of your life with a thoroughness that only sleepless nights allow. This knowledge is painful, but it's real. And there's something to be said for reality, even when reality is difficult. You've also learned resilience, not dramatic resilience, not the kind that gets celebrated in inspirational stories. Quiet resilience, the ability to function on minimal sleep, the capacity to face another day despite exhaustion, the willingness to keep trying even when nothing seems to work. This is the resilience of ordinary endurance, the resilience of showing up, the resilience of not giving up, even when giving up would be easier. You've learned that your body, despite its complaints and malfunctions, is still carrying you. It's not perfect. It hurts. It doesn't work like it used to. But it's still here, still functional, still yours. You've learned to be grateful for what remains rather than bitter about what's been lost. Not always. Some nights you're bitter, but increasingly you find gratitude. Your heart still beats, your lungs still breathe, your mind still thinks. These are not small things. You've learned that aging is not an emergency. It's a process, a long, slow process that you can't rush or stop. And lying in bed at night, you've had time to make peace with this. Not complete peace. You're still fighting aspects of it. You're still trying to maintain what you can, improve what's improvable, slow what can be slowed. But underneath the fighting is acceptance. This is happening. You're aging. Your body is changing. Your capabilities are diminishing. And fighting reality too hard only makes you more tired. You've learned that you're not alone in this experience. Every person over 55 has their own version of these sleepless nights, their own inventory of aches and fears their own complicated relationship with their bed, their body, their remaining time. You're part of a vast community of people navigating the same terrain. You never see them. You rarely talk about it. But they're there, in bedrooms across the world, awake, thinking, enduring, just like you. This knowledge doesn't make the sleepless nights easier, but it makes them less isolating. You're not uniquely cursed. You're not failing at aging. You're experiencing what humans have experienced for as long as humans have lived long enough to experience it. This is the deal. You get to live into your later years, and the price is that those years come with challenges, sleeplessness, pain, change, loss, fear. These are not punishments. They're just the terms and conditions of longevity. And despite everything, despite the exhaustion and the worry and the 3 a.m. catastrophizing, you're glad to be here. Not every moment, not every night, but in general, yes. You're glad to be alive. Glad to have reached 55 and beyond. Glad to have accumulated enough life that you have decades of memories to review during those dark hours. Glad to have people you love, even if loving them means worrying about them. Glad to have survived this long in a world that doesn't guarantee anyone's survival. The sun is fully up now. Morning has arrived definitively. You finish your coffee. You rinse the cup. You begin your day. Tired, yes. Worried, probably. Uncomfortable, certainly. But here, present, alive. And tonight, you'll lie down in that bed again, and maybe you'll sleep. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll lie awake thinking the same thoughts you thought last night and the night before. Maybe you'll watch the darkness gradually lighten into dawn again. Maybe you'll count the hours and calculate the sleep you're not getting and worry about how you'll function tomorrow. But you'll endure it. You've endured it before. You'll endure it again, because this is what you do now. This is your life at 55 and older. This is the unspoken world that exists in bedrooms at night. The world nobody mentions in polite conversation. The world that's invisible to anyone who still sleeps easily. You live in this world. You navigate it. You survive it. And sometimes, on the better nights, you even find moments of peace within it. The bed will be there tonight, waiting. Same bed, different night. Same body, 1 day older. Same mind, maybe a little more tired. And you'll climb into that bed and hope for the best while preparing for something less. You'll close your eyes. You'll try to quiet your thoughts. You'll adjust your pillows and your position and your blankets, and you'll wait for sleep, for morning, for whatever comes next. This is the unspoken world of 55 and beyond. This is what it means to lie in bed at this age, not giving up, not giving in, just continuing, night after night, thought after thought, hour after hour, until eventually, mercifully, either sleep arrives or morning does, and you get up and try again. Because that's what you do. That's what everyone does. You continue. You endure. You lie in bed and face whatever the darkness brings. And then you get up and live another day. And maybe tonight will be different. Maybe tonight you'll sleep. It's possible. Anything is possible. The exhaustion is real. The struggle is real. But so is possibility. So is hope. So is the chance that tonight, finally, your body will grant you rest You don't count on it, but you don't rule it out either. You just accept that you'll find out tonight what tonight brings, and tomorrow night you'll find out what that brings, and you'll keep finding out night after night, for as long as you continue to lie in this bed, in this life, at this age, in this body that has become both familiar and strange. The unspoken world exists. You live in it, and you're not alone. The fires die down, the stories settle, and the world grows still. Let your thoughts drift away like embers on the wind. Good night. You've journeyed far through time tonight. Now it's time to journey into dreams. Close your eyes, breathe, and let sleep find you.